Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, you. How are you? Hope everything's fine. You've enjoyed the day? I certainly have. What have you been up to today? So, first of all, those of you waiting for the Luminoso calendars, they're getting printed. I'm doing a bit of product placement. We've got new t-shirts coming for the Jigotovka show. If you're not aware, I have a show called the International Cossacks, and the International Cossacks show is called the Jigotovka show. This says Jigotovka in Russian. I don't know if it's going to be swapped round on the other side of the camera, but anyway, Jigotovka, that's how you pronounce it. Oh, there it is. Jigotovka. There we are. And then underneath it says a variety of difficult exercises on a galloping horse originally from the Caucasian Highlanders and Cossacks. There we are. So they arrived today. We've had a good fun running around taking photos of ourselves wearing them so that we can put them on the Luminoso shop. That's a good point. Let's have a little link to the Luminoso shop. So when you see this beautiful t-shirt, 100% cotton, made in the soft style, which is nice. When you see that beautiful t-shirt, you're going to go, where can I get that t-shirt? So I'm going to send you to Lumi's shop now. It's called the Luminoso collection. So I'll just copy that. Or back onto my broadcast. Okay. Have a look at Luminoso's shop. There we are. Turns out it takes a lot longer to get something printed and sent than you possibly think it might be able to. So Lumi's, do you know, Lumi's adventure only started a couple of months ago. If you're not aware, I had a horse that bled into its eyes and went completely blind, and we went all the way from he's going to lose an eye, lose both eyes, get put down, back to oh no, he's going to be fine. No, he's not. He's going to lose them. There we are. A little bit of a roller coaster for me. Have a look at Lumi's shop. Might help if I put in the link as well. There we are. So yes, of course you want a nice t-shirt like this. Go on to the shop and get that. So shops going, the calendar's coming, t-shirt coming. There's all sorts of things on there. I'm sure there's something for everybody. Anyway, hello, thank you everybody for joining me in what's just turned out to be one long rambling advert. There we go. Hello, hello, hello. Charlotte and Diane and Kerry and other Kerry. Two Kerry spelled different ways. Marvelous. Dolce and Jill. Laurel and who's that on the bottom? Oh, Claire. Hello. Good evening to you. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. So, yesterday, oh yeah, we've got ongoing issues with in the storm. The internet went down. The man came and fixed the internet, and the phone went down. So another man came and fixed the phone, and the internet went down. So someone else has just come and fixed the internet, and guess what? The phone isn't working. So if you've been trying to phone us, best email today. Tomorrow we're going to get the phone fixed. Best phone then. Anyway, there you go. So that's been an adventure getting that to work. That's why I didn't night because we couldn't get a signal, and instead I answered the question, which is, do horses feel the rider's nerves, with a video I made a couple of years ago addressing that question. But of course it doesn't address everything that I have come to have as part of my repertoire when I'm speaking to people at talks and at the Rider Confidence course. So I thought today we'd just discuss a little bit further whether horses smell adrenaline, feel fear, feel your nerves, whichever way you want to put it. Hi, David. Hi, Julia. Boa tarde, Annabella. So, do horses feel the nerves? If you watched the video yesterday, you'll know that my point is, do they care if they do? The nerves produce adrenaline, and adrenaline is a single chemical that produces the same reactions, but what might cause the adrenaline is different factors. Now, what I'm talking about is excitement, fear, seeing someone that you fancy, getting terribly enthusiastic about something. If you tell a kid that they're going to go to Disneyland, they'll jump up and down and they'll go, oh, they'll start to tremble and they'll start to cry and oh. If you tell a kid that the boogeyman is under the bed, then they'll start to jump up and down and cry and tremble, and it's exactly the same. It's our interpretation of what that adrenaline means. So if you're feeling nervy or adrenaline sensations about something you're doing on your horse or any other situation, you could equally say, oh, I'm ever so frightened, or you could equally say, I'm ever so excited. How you interpret that is up to you. And you might spend your time saying, oh, well, I don't have a choice in how I interpret it. Which, if you convince yourself of that, then fair enough. But we were talking about your horse. You can decide what you like. Your horse will not be able to make the link that this smell of adrenaline, if they can smell adrenaline, which I don't believe, but lots of people say that they do. So your horse cannot decide if that's from excitement, seeing someone you fancy, or being nervous. It can't make that decision. So, and also it's worth pointing out that even if it could smell adrenaline or feel nerves, why would it be bothered? Loads of times, my job is dealing with people frightened of a situation, and sometimes you can look at someone and go, they're frightened. As it happens, they're mistaken. But there you are. There's no need to assume that if you've not been the leader of your horse for the last 3, 5, 10 years, why are you suddenly going to be held up as the leader who knows what they're talking about simply because you feel nerves? Interesting. And then people say, oh, well, yes, well, it's not just that, is it, Karl? There's the fact that the horse is going to know that I feel nerves because I'm trembling. What's wrong with trembling? The horse isn't going to react because you're trembling. The horse is going to react because you're clamping on, pulling tight and going, oh, oh, oh. That's what the horse is. If you start jabbing it this way and the other way because you're frightened, it's not going to care whether you tremble or not. If that was true, that would mean that nobody could ever be cold, and it would be a saying in the horse world that temperature goes down, you'd better get off, otherwise the horse is going to assume that you're frightened and then run away. People quite happily get on horses when they're cold. I imagine that when professional racers get into a race, they're probably quite excited. They're probably trembling all over the place. They're also saying that anybody with Parkinson's can't ride because they're trembling. It's just absolute nonsense. Or any other amount of physical disabilities that might cause you to tremble. It's not the trembling, it's not the smelling of adrenaline, it's the fact that you clamp and you pull. It's worth a thought, isn't it? So, provided that you don't get frightened, clamp and pull, then there's no need to assume that the horse is going to react to the smell of adrenaline, the feeling of nerves, the trembling, or anything else. Your horse would quite happily be directed by somebody trembling and smelling of adrenaline, if such a thing is real, and I don't believe it is, and quite happily riding it round, directing it here, there, and everywhere. They might be excited or nervous for a completely different reason. Does that also mean that the horse is intelligent to guess the reason why you're trembling and excited? There we go. It just gets too complicated too quickly. But what I found is people use the wives' tale that horses can smell when you're frightened in order to project a feeling that this is not my fault. I can't help it if my body produces adrenaline. I can't help it if these actions happen in my body. I can't help it. And because you can't help it, and other people do it as well, they're like, well, what do you expect? You know, fear travels down the reins and all that. You can help it. You can't help it if you feel frightened, but you can help it if you transmit that fear to the horse. You can be shaking away. And if you've got somebody in the background going, well, the horse is going to misbehave even worse now because it can feel you trembling, that suddenly absolved you of the responsibility of getting this horse in hand and driving forwards in the most perfect posture possible, getting a nice top line on it and getting it to do a lovely extended trot with its back legs under it the correct proportion and just on the bit just so, and you going forward just so. You don't have to do any of that because it's not your fault. Your body's going to do it. Absolves you of the responsibility. So if you take up the responsibility that whether you are trembling or not, whether you are frightened or not, whether you're excited or not, whether you're producing adrenaline or not, whether you're choosing to interpret the adrenaline as nerves or excitement or not, regardless of all that, you are going to go forward in the most perfect figure eight, adrenaline or no, and have his back legs under just the right amount and his top line just the right amount and on the bit just the right amount and the bend just the right amount and the curve just the right amount and you know, and your posture absolutely perfect. Well, that's perfectly doable. It's perfectly doable. We're super used to doing this in all other aspects of life. If you're a teacher, you're sitting in the classroom of children, and one of the children goes, "Teacher, there's a great big spider on the wall." And you turn around, there's a great big spider on the wall. You've got about 1 second before you either lose control of that class of young children or take complete control of the class. And you would not stand there and scream and flap however much you don't like spiders, because you've got a responsibility to the class and you'd control your nerves. You'd jump and then you'd go, oh my god, and you'd go, sit down, be quiet, that spider is more scared of you than you are of it. This is not a reason to suddenly run amok. Sit down. Right, what we are going to do is we are going to all leave the classroom in an orderly fashion, and I'm going to get Mrs. Jenkins or whatever it is that you decide to do. We're super fine with that. Another example that I've used before: somebody walking through a field of cows, and the cows start mooching over, and let's say with you with your niece or your nephew, and they're like, those cows are walking over. You might nonchalantly walk a bit faster, and you might nonchalantly get to the edge of the field, but all the time you're going, come on then, let's go this way. I think we'd better stay over this side of the field, don't you? And you would exude this confidence. You were getting on an aeroplane and you didn't like airplanes, and you're sitting there freaking out because you don't like airplanes. And then a young child comes on and it's really freaking out because it doesn't like airplanes, and it's crying and screaming, and the mum's doing the very best to try and get this kid to just sit down and be quiet and calm down, and the kids go, we're gonna die, you're gonna die, the airplane's gonna crash, and so I feel blah, 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 blah. You would not continue to behave like you were behaving a second ago and look at the kid and go, you're bloody right, we are going to die, oh, we're doomed. You just wouldn't. As soon as that kid came on, you'd shut up. You'd start doing things that normal people do, reading the book or sitting on your hands so that so that no one can see them trembling. But what you wouldn't do is what you were doing a moment ago, when you felt that you didn't have any responsibility, really. You might even help try and distract the kid by going, "Are you going on holiday? Where are you going? Is it nice there? Did you go there before? Have they got nice ice cream there?" And whatever it is that you say to kids to calm them down, get their minds off it. You just wouldn't. There's 3 examples where you'd be nervous, there'd be adrenaline, and you'd simply pretend. Now, if you're sat on a horse using the exact same neural pathways that I've just described, when your so-called friend leaning on the fence goes, "There's not a lot you can do to help yourself because they smell adrenaline, it's beyond your control," and you're shaking a bit because that's not really reassuring you, there's nothing wrong with shaking a bit, because then you're going, "Right, class, we're going to march out and get Mrs. Jenkins." In those neural pathways, it's like, "Right, horse, we're going to go forward and do this perfect figure 8, and you're going to get your head down and be correctly on the bit and have a correct top line, and I'm going to be in the most perfect posture." And you'd simply use those neural pathways that you used a million times before. So there we go. The answer to "does a horse feel your nerves?" is action beats anxiety. Action beats anxiety. I reckon, anyways. We've gone all West Country now. That's what I reckon, anyways. Okay, let's have a little look at the comments here. Lovely, we've got Diane agreeing, which is nice. When you are nervous and have adrenaline coursing, you overreact to what the horse does. I don't. You might overreact. There will be a tendency to overreact. Overreaction will be far more likely. But also, we've got to bear in mind, which is this: we can practice getting ourselves used to spooking and still taking action to beat anxiety. You could practice a few spooks just in your own bite sizes, enough that you can handle with. My favourite example is carrying a flag. If you've got a flag that's a tea towel on a stick, that's not much of a flag. And you'd probably be able to do that. Maybe go a bit smaller if you can't, and build it up, build it up. It's a small spook. When the wind catches the flag and it goes crack, you're putting your horse in a absolutely perfect circle with the correct amount of bend and the correct amount of bend. Then you can practice. You go, "Yeah, I'm all right with that size flag. Not very good with the one the size of a bed sheet yet, but we're working up to that." You could practice all sorts of spooks, desensitizing the horse and yourself at the same time, so that you and yourself learn that when you get, whether there's adrenaline or not, you will simply do what you have to do. You do it in your car all the time. When you're driving along in your car and the back wheels hit some wet leaves on a November morning, the car skids out. You don't then abandon yourself and throw your arms around the steering wheel and go, "I don't like it, maybe I'll take me over." You continue to drive. Lovely. Just looking through these comments here. Lovely. Thank you, everybody. I'm sure they sense nerves here. Depends on the horse. You got some highly reactive horses that do sense nerves, but nerves could They can't make the decision. How do they know that you haven't just won the lottery? And some horses don't. But having people around you saying that your nerves will go will behave in a worse manner, well, at any point along that chain of events, you could apply a brake. You could say your nerves will go through to the horse. Well, maybe I'll put a brake in there. So yes, I'm feeling nervous. It's going to go through to the horse. So what I'm going to say to myself is, I'm excited. Let's do this. I'm excited. Let's do this. I'm excited. Let's do this. Now we've got something else going to the horse because we made that actual choice. And your nerves go through to the horse. Again, that you're feeling nervous and you're blaming it on nerves, or you're feeling adrenaline, you're blaming it on nerves, not excitement. You've missed an opportunity to make a break in the chain there, but you've made a chain. Therefore, the nerves are going through to the horse. Well, that's a choice as well. We've just given examples of this with children on aeroplanes and everything else. You don't have to put your nerves through to your audience, and action beats anxiety. So if you're telling the horse to keep going in a circle or in a perfect circle to do the exercise that you're going to do, and you're going to do it to the very best of your ability, and you're more concerned about getting the figure eight straight than you are about the fact is I'm feeling nervous and the horse might react and it might go through. And if you are at the stage where that is too much, then you need to break down your bites to that stage so that 3 months from now, you can get on and do your figure eight while people arrange spooks or whatever. You can break the chain of events, but the assumption that there's nothing you can do about it, the horse will react to your nerves will be transmitted down the reins, you will interpret your adrenaline as nerves, and there's nothing you can do. Well, I know that's simply not true because I've helped so many people past it. It's all each point is a choice. Lovely, thank you very much. If you could please buy a beautiful Jigitovka shirt from Luminoso's shop, that would be wonderful. Absolutely super cool. And thank you very much for joining me, and we'll do it tomorrow. If you've got any questions, then drop me a line, drop me a question. Actually, I was a bit rude then. I didn't press the invite button, so no one got a chance to come onto the show, but they are lovely. See you all tomorrow.